TOA, Fit Buddy Forever and Fit Buddy Bootcamp communities. What's up, everybody? Robert Linkul with TrainingTheOlderAdult.com. I hope you are all doing well, and I am excited to share my screen with you here and talk about two articles in particular, but more or less the focus of today. I want to talk about training intensity versus training frequency, training volume, training the overall time invested in training versus the intensity in which you put into that time. And this kind of goes back to this saying that I think everybody really means well when they say it, and it's almost a good line, but when you really kind of break it down, it's not ideal. And so the line is, it's better than nothing. I'll hear that often from clients. I'll say, hey, did you do your workout while I was gone or while you were on vacation? And they go, no, but I did a lot of walking. It's better than nothing. Or they'll say, yeah, I did like a round or two, and then I just kind of got burned out and I was on vacation, and it's better than nothing. And there's a part of me that goes, you're right. It is better than nothing. But at the same time, why not you put in time to do something? Why not? If the whole thing was, well, I just didn't feel like doing that much, or my head wasn't in it or whatnot, instead of saying, well, I walked on the treadmill for a half an hour rather than doing my 15 or 20 minute workout. I would rather if you worked out really hard for 10 minutes than walk on the treadmill for 30. Make sense? Like, there's a level of intensity that even if it's a shorter work period, I feel like there's more benefit to come from it. And that's not all the time, just sometimes. Sometimes we need shorter bouts that are really intense, and then other times we need longer bouts that are not so intense. And that's kind of the difference when you're in here, what we call kind of a challenge day. When you're with me, when you're with your coach, that's more of a challenge day. We are here to be challenged, and we will push ourselves more because we're being challenged by our coach. Then we have days where maybe we're resistance training or lifting on our own, and coach gave us the program, so it's a good program, but coach isn't here. And, my husband or my wife is walking around inside, and I can see him, and I can hear the news or the TV show that I want to watch, or my kids are doing something fun outside, or I've got emails that are dinging and text messages that are chiming. And you have all these distractions that when I'm here and you're with me in the challenge session, you don't hear any of that. You don't think about any of that. I got to survive this workout because Rob's up in my face, and I got to survive. So intensities are very different. When you're with me, intensity very high. When you're at home doing your own program, intensity is kind of middle. When you're on vacation and you're just going for a walk or something, intensity is low. And all of that is totally fine. So, I probably could give you better examples on this, but I just want you to get a good understanding that if someone's going to put in any kind of effort to do a workout, if they feel uninspired, if they feel like they just don't have it that day, I would rather you try to do something at a lesser time commitment, just a greater intensity of effort, because I think you actually get more out of that than if you just labor your way through it. And we'll often hear, I didn't do my workout, but I walked on the treadmill, or I rode my bike, or I did something else. And hey, it's better than nothing. And that is true. It is better than just sitting on your ass eating potato chips. I agree. But what was the intention, right? What was our intention? The intention was to get a good workout in. And so I'd rather you try to do something that's close to that rather than, well, I just went for a walk, all right? So keep that in mind as we kind of dive into these two articles. The first one here, can 150 minutes of physical activity a week help extend lifespan in older adults? Okay, pretty cool here. A physically active lifestyle late in life is linked to aging well. I concur. People who exercise 150 minutes each week reduced their risk of all-cause mortality by 31%, according to the study. There are actually multiple studies that confirm this, and some that percentage rate is increased. It's actually quite a bit higher. An older adult can gradually and safely work their way up to this amount of exercise in consultation with their physician and healthcare professionals. That's also true. You should definitely talk to your healthcare professionals and your doctor and make sure you're good to introduce exercise into your life, etc. All right, this new article, which is a review of existing research, argues that physical activity can significantly enhance one's quality of life in one's later years. The article notes that the lack of physical activity is a risk factor of more than 30 chronic conditions that affect older adults. I think there's more like 100, but big ones: sarcopenia, osteopenia, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive issues, cognitive loss. Let's see what else. There's one more that I'm missing on. It's a big one. It'll come to me. Okay. The review states that research finds 150 weekly minutes of moderate physical activity can reduce all-cause mortality by 31% compared to a week with no appreciable physical activity. All right. Exercise can improve a person's strength, thus, blah, blah, blah. All good, improve quality of life, overcome frailty or reduce potential risks of frailty. All good. As we continue to work our way down here, too few physicians counsel their patients on physical activity. I completely agree for a variety of reasons. And this, we hope, becomes a call to action, which at the same time helps take the guesswork out of how to prescribe physical activity to older adults. So this one is something that I hear quite often, is that a lot of people are very nervous. A lot of doctors or medical professionals are very nervous to tell older populations to exercise because they're worried that if they say, go out and lift weights and go out and, walk on a regular basis, etc., that they might do those things and then they would do them to excess and then injuries would occur. And because they're older, they're more prone or more susceptible to injury. And I think that anyone of any age who is instructed to go and do anything has a potential of overcommitting and potentially increasing their risk of injury. Just because you're older does not necessarily mean that you are at a higher risk of injury. That's actually not accurate. Injury rates for people in their teens versus their 30s versus their 60s, as far as it goes for fitness, are all pretty much the same across the board. Now, where rates will really change, which is anywhere between 4 and 8% injury rate, depends on what research you look at. But we've seen as low as 4% and as high as 8% for regular, just going to the gym, doing some fitness stuff, okay? Any age. Now, if you participate in sport, recreation, et cetera, things change. All sports have different percentages and risks, and et cetera, okay? So let's keep that in mind when we say, all right, our goal is to get 150 minutes. We want to reduce our all-cause risk of mortality. We want to improve our quality of life. We want to fight off frailty. We want to do all of that as we kind of battle and slowly progress, 10 to 15 minutes every day and build up 20, 25 minutes every day, 30 minutes every day, kind of build up. If you did 30 minutes, 7 days a week, that's 210 minutes. So you don't even need that. You would need 30, 35 minutes every other day. For the most part, you can get to that, 150 minutes, relatively easy if you just go out and go for a 30-minute walk every day, okay? Now, what we really want to see is not just activity, and that's my point of intensity and why we're discussing and using that term of intensity. Intense resistance training can keep older adults strong for years. Pushing yourself hard, very hard, at the gym has a long-lasting strength and mobility benefit, a new study suggests. This is June 20, 2024. For retirees, apparently you have to be retired to resistance train. Let's just say for older pops. High-intensity resistance training staved off typical age-related declines in leg strength, while moderate-intensity resistance training did not. 1 year of high-intensity training offered benefits that lasted at least 4 years. And research encourages older adults to strength train at least twice a week, adding intensity gradually. The big takeaway from this, and this research in particular, looked at the levels of intensity and how they were able to build people up. Started off pretty cool, randomly assigning 451 older adults who were 71 years of age on average to follow one of 3 exercise routines for 1 year. High-intensity resistance training using weights at the gym 3 days a week. The next one, moderate intensity resistance training using body weight and resistance bands once a week at a hospital. And then the last one, at the hospital, and then twice a week at home. And then the last one was a control group who were simply encouraged to continue with whatever exercise habits they already had. So they were just keep doing whatever you do in life, okay? If you lift, you lift. If you don't, you don't. Researchers assessed participants' bones and muscle strength before the start of the study, and then once again after 1 year, 2 years, and then 4 years later. Leg strength remained consistent throughout the study for the people who did the high-intensity resistance training workouts, but that declined for everyone else, according to the results published June 18th in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. This means that the heavy resistance training that prevented typical age-related decline in muscle function, says that the lead study author, that name, at the University of Copenhagen and Institute of something, it was the high intensity that basically did it, okay? This was pretty unique in terms of forecasting or foreshadowing how well people will maintain strength as they age. The cool part, especially when you look at this, is they did the resistance training for a year and then they stopped. And those that did the high intensity resistance training kept that leg strength for the next 4 years, 3 to 4 years. Now, some in the study continued to resistance train and they excelled. They actually did even better because they said a lot of people after the year, they were like, okay, you're all done. And a lot of people said, no, we like this. We want to keep doing it. And they did. And so those folks continued to excel. The ones that just stopped after a year still maintained the same level of leg strength that they had. Now, that's the cool part. When you look at this and you're like, okay, they went to the gym. What they say, 3 days a week for 30 minutes, something like that. But they lifted fairly heavy. So if you look at 168 hours in your week and you go to the gym for 90 minutes, that's 1.5 out of 168 hours. That means 166.5 hours that you have remaining in the week can go to do whatever you want. So when people tell you I'm too busy or I don't have time or I don't have the commitment, even the individuals that did the resistance training at the hospital and then the band and the body weight work and such at home, those folks at least maintained. They didn't get worse. Like the last group didn't get any better. Nothing improved for them. The other group had some minor changes. They did better with their grip strength and their balance and their coordination. And I've looked deeper into the study than what I just showed you. They actually had some decent changes. But the high intensity resistance training group, they blew everybody out of the water. And so you look at that and you're like, well, this isn't shocking news. This isn't something amazing. The point is less time, greater intensity, greater returns that lasted longer. So that is kind of a big deal. More than just, I'm just going to go through the checklist and do the bare minimum with my bands at home and just cruise and take it easy. Or I just like to go for walks, or I just don't feel like. This is why we have the accountability of having a coach and showing up. This is why that coach's job is to help you lift proper, lift with good intensity, lift with good load that's challenging for you. That's our job, is to implement the said principle to you, to specifically adapt your body to an imposed demand that we're putting on it via those heavy weights or those inverted ropes or those inverted rings or the tank or the sled, whatever we're having you manipulate and work with. Our job is to make sure that is imposing a demand that your body has to specifically adapt to. And if the intensity is not high enough, it's not going to happen. So yes, something is better than nothing, but this is way better than that something, where I think it's just so much more efficient. Why waste 3 hours a week of just puddling around and I just want to go through the motions and check the list? Why do that when you could say, I'm going to put in 3 half-an hours that are high-intensity, kick-ass efforts? Put that in your mind and make it happen. every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 a.m. from 6 to 6:30. I'm kicking ass. And the rest of the week, whatever I want to do, whatever. Go for walks. Check on those check boxes. Go for a couple of rucks. Go play golf. Go swimming. Go do whatever. Go do whatever you want. But get the intensity components to this. Intensity matters. Intention and intensity matters. In this research article for 471 individuals, it definitely proved to be true that yes, something is better than nothing. But in this case, intensity drastically improves your quality of life, longevity, reducing your risk of mortality and falls, improve posture, grip strength, cognition, across the board. Way better with this bout of intense, focused intensity of resistance training. Thus why it's called high intensity resistance training. Hurt. It's not easy. It hurts. I know that's not how you spell hurt. But you get it. High intensity resistance training. Hurt. We love it. We embrace it. I encourage you to do the same. All right, gang. Comments, questions. Intensity wins out in the end, in my opinion. If there's anything else I can do for you, feel free to comment down below. Please like and follow and subscribe and send this along to anybody you feel like might benefit from it. You got one of those folks out there that's been doing the exact same workout, the exact time and the exact day with the exact same reps and the exact same sets and the same load, or they're watching their Taibo videos or, their Tony Little workout videos at home, and you've been doing the same thing. Your body has adapted. It's time for something new. If you want change, you got to do something different. Where discomfort comes change. Where there's discomfort comes change. And intensity will bring great bouts of discomfort. I guarantee it. Until next time, please continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.